Welcome back to McNulty's Book Corral, and today we have a very special guest, the incredibly wild Brenna Kuhlman, who is, by the way, my daughter.
Hi.
There you go. And my daughter's here at the cabin with us, and we're having a great time. She caught a really beautiful bass yesterday. I will show you a picture of that. It will pop up magically on the screen in just a moment. And now we're going to talk about, however, books. Isn't that shocking? McNulty's Book Corral. We're talking about books. Okay, so Brenna, you brought with you some books that you've read, some books that you are going to read, and then we are going to talk about a really great book that we both read.
Okay.
So let's start out at the top of the stack and talk just to, what's this first one here?
Okay, so the first one is Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton.
Okay.
I am a dark romance reader, so I'm very much into dark romance. All of these books that I'm going to recommend, besides my last one, do have trigger warnings. So if you are going to read these books, please make sure that you read the trigger warnings prior, just to make sure that it is something that you will be able to handle. This book is excellent. It also has to do with some sharks, which are my favorite animal. That's probably why I like it so much. But it's kind of a creepy story, stranded kind of on an island with a lighthouse. It's a very interesting book, and it's a love story also. But yeah, highly recommend. This is one of my favorites.
Now, is this the one? Let me see that book for a minute. Since she's my daughter, I have to approve everything, as you know, right, guys? I'm just kidding. The trigger warning, that I read one of these trigger warnings, and I've never read a book with a trigger warning before, so I must be old school. I have nothing against that. Just to give you a sample of that, I will use my manly voice and read it to you now. This is a dark romance that contains very triggering situations, such as graphic violence and gore, graphic murder, graphic language, suicide ideation, mentions of suicide, depression and anxiety, PTSD, near-death situations, stranded in the middle of the ocean. That's the one that gets me. Dub non-com mention of incest and pedophilia, not depicted. And onward and forward. So she's absolutely right. However, it's well written.
It is very
well
written.
You were telling me.
Yes, it's very well written.
Very well written book. Does have some trigger warnings for people, which is nice that they put that in there.
Yep.
I may read that. And what's the next one?
The next one I have is pretty popular. It's actually a series. They're coming out with the third one in January, which I'm super excited. So there's Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver, and then there is Leather and Lark. This is a duet. She just came out with this one. These are also very dark romance, serial killers that fall in love, which I love, but also trigger warnings, just BT dubs, a little more on the gory side, but also what I love about this is there is a ton of humor in these books. There are some scenes in here that are just absolutely hilarious.
That's interesting. That's interesting that you have that combination of dark graphic romance and then some humor.
Yes.
So that's appealing
hilarious.
To me.
Yeah.
Now this is great, folks, because in previous episodes I've talked about there are certain things I avoid in the modern literary market. And modern horror is one that I avoid, but now my daughter's here to correct me on that. That's why we watch these videos, so that we can get ideas on new books to read, and I'm open to anything. So these two really appeal to me, I think.
These are really great. I would recommend you read these. There's there's spice in here for those spicy readers, but it's really not. It's not like some of the other ones I've read, but the comedy in here, the storyline, it is slow burn, a very slow burn for both stories. So there's a lot of buildup with each of the characters kind of falling in love.
You're a natural at this. You should start your own channel.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, these are probably on one of my top favorite books.
Great. All right, so let's take a look here. We have Butcher
and
Blackbird by Bryn Weaver and Leather and Lark. Now I don't have my scanner up here, but I'll try and get. If I can, I'll get copies of the covers so they can appear magically on the screen using the MacBook Pro. Okay, this is great. So there are two really strong recommendations of dark romance horror.
Yes.
These have some humor in them, so I'm really interested.
I was laughing pretty hysterically.
And by the way, I just noticed on the cover it says The Ruinous Love Trilogy.
Yes.
Ruinous Love Trilogy. That in and of itself is humorous. Very good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
And then
onward and upward here. We have a couple more.
Okay, so These are
That is a great cover.
These are my absolute favorite.
Okay.
This is Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline. This is a duet. There
Okay.
are only 2 of these books. There are a couple other books by the same writer, H.D. Carlton. She actually wrote the first book that I introduced, Does It Hurt? Same writer.
Okay.
I love her work. There are 2 other stories kind of that intertwine with these, but not the same characters.
Gotcha. Okay.
But these 2 books are my absolute favorite. Again, trigger warnings for these. Be careful. The story is a writer, a lady writer, and she has a stalker. And he kind of stalks her and becomes obsessed with her and will kill anybody for her. So it's a very, very interesting book. Spicy. Okay. The Hunting Adeline, the second book, is a lot darker. So please keep that in mind.
Okay.
This book is very dark. Sometimes I had to take a break reading this because it was almost too much.
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
still, an awesome story. I love beginning to end. Absolutely wonderful.
And these 2 are, as you can see, these are thick babies.
They are,
so this is beach reading for the whole summer.
Yes.
It looks like here. By the way, these are beautifully designed.
Yeah.
Great cover on this, and I just noticed when I flipped through it that we have illustrations for the chapter headings, which looks really cool. So they're putting a lot of effort into making these books appealing to people, and like you've been saying, you've been telling me, they're really well written.
They are
so
very,
this looks really,
very,
really good.
very well written.
Really
I
nice.
like how she describes everything in these books, from how she describes the characters to the house that the main character lives in. She lives in kind of a gothic mansion,
Yeah.
which is right up my alley. And how she writes how the characters speak is just something that I relate to, because it's kind of how I talk too. So it's just very well written and definitely my favorite for sure so far.
So on the back cover of this one, which is Haunting Adeline, it has a little bit about the characters. So I'm just going to read the second one to you. First you have the manipulator, then you have the shadow. And I like the blurb on the back. It says, "I didn't mean to fall in love, but now that I have, I can't stay away. I'm mesmerized by her smile, by her eyes, and by the way she moves, the way she undresses. I'll keep watching and waiting until I can make her mine. And once she is, I'll never let her go. Not even when she begs me to." That's pretty cool. All
Very
right.
good.
Excellent. Thank
Yes.
you, Brenna, for that. So these are your 2 favorites.
Those are my 2 favorites.
Haunting Adeline and Hunting Adeline.
Hunting and hunting.
And then we have, you wanted to recommend, you're going to get to this one?
Yes, I am getting to A Court of Thorns and Roses, which is a series. I have not read this one yet, but I have read so many good reviews on this. My brother and sister-in-law have both read these. They say it's absolutely amazing. So I'm really excited to read.
I've read a lot of reviews of these books. I think there's several, like you said,
Yes.
and I've seen a lot of booktubers that I've subscribed to talk about these books. So this will probably go on my reading list as well.
Yes, I'm
so
excited
we'll
for
get
this.
to talk about that.
Yeah.
In the same way that we talked about the final book
The final book
that we both read
that we both read.
and love, and it is
Stephen
King's Fairy Tale.
I loved this book.
Yeah.
I read this so fast. I just got completely sucked into the story.
Yeah.
A Boy and His Dog.
It's a Boy and His Dog
Boy and
story.
His Dog.
Incredible book. And I did an episode on this, folks, about a year ago. So if you can go back and find that. But it was interesting because I read it first, and then she asked me about it, and you bought it, right?
I
You went out
literally
and bought
asked
it.
you about it. And
Yeah.
you're like, this is kind of what it's about. And I'm like, that sounds really interesting. And I literally left your house and went directly to the store and I bought it and started
That's
reading
right.
it that day. And I read it, I think, within a day or 2.
Yeah, I
It
think
was
you started
very,
it right away.
very fast. I
And
read
it's
this
a
book.
long, massive
It
book.
is. It
but
is.
Stephen King was back with a bang on that one.
Excellent.
And amazing
Yes.
career he's had.
I hope they make a movie out of this.
Oh, that's what I read. They're going to make a movie out of
I
it.
hope so.
But you and I were talking about that. It's got to be done right.
It has to be done just like the book.
Right, because Hollywood ruins a lot of
They
stuff.
do. They do.
Now, they didn't ruin it. Is that correct? Believe it or
was
not,
pretty, yeah.
I've never seen, there's 2 versions of it,
Yeah.
and I've never seen either one. Isn't that amazing? I read the book, which I have.
You haven't seen the one with?
I have never
Tim Curry?
seen the. I've never
Really?
seen. I've never seen the film version of it because I hold that book in such high regard.
Yeah,
I don't want to ruin
I can see that.
I just won't do it
Yeah,
because I just
get it.
think it is.
I get it.
Is it?
I almost feel that way with this one. I'm like, oh, it's so
I
good.
know.
I'm like scared.
It's like I'm hesitant. It's like, okay, they're going to make a movie.
But it's like,
Boy, it would have to be Peter Jackson.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Somebody like that.
Yeah.
That can do that type of thing.
Yes.
So I don't know. We're
For
just kind of throwing ideas around here.
Yeah.
All right. So great group of recommendations, Brenna.
Yes.
Thank you so much for visiting the McNulty's Book Corral.
Of course.
And for you folks out there, thank you for watching as always. And I'll bet those of you who are here as regular visitors know exactly what I'm going to say next. Stay well. Stay happy. Feed that beautiful mind of yours. Read a book.
Read a book.
Yeah, baby.
Good job.
Oh my God.